रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोस्तुते तप्त काञ्चना गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमो महावधन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रये। नमो ब्रह्मण्याय देवाय गोब्राह्मण्याय हिताय च जगद्हिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांता स्वामी निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हुकुम करोति वाचनं लगायत कृपातमः वंदे श्री गुरु दीनतारिणे परमानंद माधव श्री चैतन्य। पवित्रो पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थगतियोपि सस्मरेतु पुंडरीकं यस् बाह्याभ्यन्तरस्य श्री विष्णु श्री विष्णु श्री विष्णु। हरे कृष्ण। Krishna Prabhuji and Matajis, thank you so much for the class. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Please bless me that I speak something useful out of this class. Thank you. So, Leland Prabhuji is not here, so he asked me to take this class. So, when first Leland Prabhuji said, I thought he will ask me to speak something in Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. But he said, just now you finished Pundaripur Yatra, so why don't you speak about Pundaripur Yatra? So last week we went for Pundaripur Yatra, so I thought so because he asked, so we'll do this. But before we start class on Pundaripur Yatra, how many of you have gone to Pundaripur? Oh, so a lot of people have gone, so you can correct me if I'm saying something wrong. So how many of you have not gone to Pundaripur? So we'll try to see how Pundaripur is basically, right? This is my first trip actually. I went there for the first time last week. Even before we talk about Pundaripur, so Pundaripur is the Dham, right? Pundaripur is the Dham. Dham is where it's Bhuloka Vaikuntha basically. So where you can see the presence of God, and the Dham has its own importance. So I was thinking, when we talk about Dhams, what is there in Bhagavatam about Dhams, right? So there are few shlokas in Bhagavatam which we are supposed to have in our mind when we visit Dham. Does anybody know which shlokas in Bhagavatam talks about our mindset when we visit a Dham? Which topic, which area? Can you think of? So I will show you some. Probably will read few of the shlokas. So these are the shlokas. Which shlokas are these? Probably I already showed the name there. Sorry? It's not showing. Okay. So then I didn't show anything. Good. So no, let's think, like, people visiting Krishna. When people visiting Krishna, his mindset basically. This is the mindset of Akrura visiting Krishna, right? He was going from Kamsa's place, from Mathura to Vrindavan. It is said that should be our mindset when going to a Dham, right? See here, Akrura says, right? As he is traveling basically, Sukadeva Goswami said this is what it is. This is 10.38, chapter 10th canto, 38th chapter. As he traveled on the road, the great soul of Akrura felt tremendous devotion for the lotus-eyed personality of the Godhead, and thus he began to consider as follows. These should be our thoughts while visiting a Dham. What pious deeds have I done? What severe austerities undergone, what worship performed, or charity given, so today I will see Lord Keshava. So this should be our mindset whenever we are visiting our Dham. So what it means is, visiting a Dham is considered a great pious gift opportunity that God is giving to us. What is our worth for visiting a Dham really, right? Since I am a materialistic person absorbed simply in sense gratification, I think it is difficult for me to have gotten this opportunity to see Lord Uttama Sloka as it would be for one born as Sudra or to be allowed to recite the Vedic mantras. So this should be our state of mind, trying to see the God. Of all the Dhams, Pandharpur Dham has a speciality, right? What is the speciality? Sorry? Deity is self-manifested, okay. Other, you are saying something, Amma? Bhuloka Vaikuntham, the Bhuloka Vaikuntham. See, no other place, probably you can touch the deities. Only in Pandharpur I have seen that. You can go and touch the deities. You can touch the feet, basically. That is a surprise to me, actually. I did not know that. Probably the only other opportunity where you get to touch the deities are the deities in your own house. Shiva is different. I mean, Shivalayam, like you can. This is special. The only other place probably is Puri, Jagannath Puri, you could, but I don't know today. Now they are not allowing anymore, right? Sorry, Emma. They're not allowing anyone. So when I heard this for the first time, that's what came to my mind. When did I actually touch God? Deities. I mean, the personification of the deity is the personification of God Himself there, basically. The only other thought process I had was when I had the opportunity to pick up Jagannath from Abid's temple to put it in the cart. That's the only time. But again, that's not always, right? Or unless you are Brahmin initiated and you have an opportunity to worship, and that's also not easy process. Not every Brahmin initiated gets that. And it took us 6 hours actually to go through the queues of Pandharpur, this thing, to the lines basically. And it's total free. Unlike temples of Andhra and other places where there is a ticket for everything, Pandharpur there's nothing. It's only queue basically. Right? So one should have this kind of thought process. But enough of such thoughts, after all, even a fallen soul like me can have the chance to behold the infallible Supreme Lord, for one of the conditioned souls being swept along in the river of time may sometimes reach the shore. So this is what Akrura is thinking. See, it's by chance, just like a sand particle goes from shore to shore, from point to point. This is the point. It's the opportunity point that materialistic person is getting to see the God, see the Lord. Today, all my sinful reactions have been eradicated and my birth has become worthwhile, since I will offer my obeisances to Supreme Lord's lotus feet, with which mystic yogis meditate upon. That's the one you are able to go and touch in Pandharpur. Vittal means it's Krishna himself basically. The story, as we will discuss a little bit of the story as we go. So this slokas, this entire chapter basically is supposed to be in our minds whenever we are visiting here, any dham. That's what His Holiness Loknath Maharaj has put in one of his sessions basically. That's where I got it from too basically. And Loknath Maharaj, His Holiness Loknath Maharaj, is situated in Pandharpur and he's written beautiful book, Vaikunta, Bulok Vaikunta basically. So I tried to read the book, but I couldn't complete. But I'll try to see some of the things from that book basically. So again, not many places you will see a dham named after a devotee. No other place. Can you think of any other place? Pandharpur is named after the devotee basically, right? Then Bhadrachalam is the rishi, is the hill basically. Bhadradri. The Simhachalam is Simhachalam. Again, these are all it's not like named after a devotee basically. Like he's a devotee. It's not that it's not that he's not a devotee, but he's also holding that basically. But here it's completely named after a devotee. The point here is, you see lot of dhams, you see lot of places, but the stories of Jagannath Puri and Pandharpuram are actually, the whole thing is driven by devotion and devotees. And they're not from ages back. The devotees of Pandharpuram are the things that happened in 500-600 years ago, basically. Bhaktha Tukaram or Sakhubai. So, is it right? This is from the times of Chhatrapati Shivaji. We read a lot of things of Chhatrapati Shivaji, but not these devotees, basically. This dham it can easily be compared to the devotion that the people had, basically. The first place I visited is right Vrindavanam and Govardhan. At Govardhan, we have seen that how the parikrama happens, right? Some people spend years. What's it, Prabhu? Dandavat Parikrama, right? If anybody who didn't know what Dandavat Parikrama that happens in Vrindavanam, Govardhan Giri, the people, they do Dandavat Pranam and through the entire Parikrama, which is about 21 kilometers. So it takes about 7, 8, 12 days basically. And then there are people who does 108 times Dandavat Parikrama at each spot. So they have 108 stones. They do Dandavat Parikrama, move one stone and then another stone. 108 stones finishes. Then from there they move another 108, another 108, another 108 basically. So like that, to go through the entire Parikrama, how long does it take? Years. Some people take 12, 15 years, not days. We're not talking about days here. See, one person is dedicating 10, 15 years of his life just to get that mercy by doing one parikrama basically, right? He has done parikrama, once he's gone, and in these 12-15 years, some people leave the body and they would just be buried on the pathway, and then life continues basically. And you will see that, I have seen at least that kind of devotion again in Pandharpur basically, right? I don't know if you have seen in Maharashtra, the people go on foot to Pandharpur Yatra. So the Ashadha Ekadasi is the biggest day for them, and then the next biggest day is Kartik Ekadasi. So we were there on Kartik Purnami. That's the reason why there is so much crowd just after Ekadashi basically. So almost 50, they called it a Dindi festival, right? Why is the Dindi festival? As I was reading through, there's so much information on it basically. At least 50 to 60 lakh people go on foot, and an average amount of distance they walk is 200 to 250 kilometers basically, to just get one visit to Lord basically, right? And they spend all, and it's such an organized event basically. So they know exactly where they are starting, where the one, and there are two Paduka Yatras also happen along with that. One starts in Pune where Tukaram was born, and then another starts, I don't remember the name place now, but Jnaneshwar place basically. Sorry? One is Tukaram's birthplace and another is Kaleshwar. So from there they start, they bring these padukas on the palaki and the bullock cart, and they go by foot. This is like, so the plan is, everybody knows which place they have to start and which date they have to start. And all these 50 lakh people, they know exactly where to stop, where to stay for the nights, and where to go. They're all stopped around the Pandharpur for about 2 kilometers in 2-3 days in advance. And then from there, they were given time slots to go. Just like our Batakama, they carry the Tulasi along with all this distance. Ladies carry Tulasi on their heads for 200 to 50 kilometers, walking almost 20-25 kilometers a day. And most of them don't even wear chappals or anything, and barefoot they walk basically. All along singing kirtans. Abhangas, all along singing these Abhangas and Kirtans. So today probably that's the only place where so much of prayers in form of Kirtans, prayers in form of Sankirtan still exist basically. That's the beauty of Pandharpur basically. Right, Prabhu? So then we'll go a little bit onto the story of Pandharpur, how it happened, and Pundalik is the person under which Pandharpur is named, right? So he is the devotee on which Pandharpur is started. So we all know, so the whole story goes from like this. So Rukmini Mata, when Krishna is living in Dwaraka, one day Radha Devi visits Dwaraka. When Radha Devi visits Dwaraka, and when Radha Devi is with Krishna, Rukmini comes and sees that and feels little bit of jealous or angry and with Krishna, and then she goes away. And Rukmini is from which area? Which kingdom? Vidarbha is Maharashtra. That's Pandharpur. That's the Pandharpur area basically. And Rukmini Devi, so looking with this anger on Krishna, she wants to go back to her parents' house, Vidarbha. But then, she's actually went against the wishes of her brother and married Krishna. Now she is not in a great state to come back to her parental house, thinking like, this is not the best thing to do. And she comes to Pandharpur area. What's that? Dindivanam, and then she sits in meditation. Right? So then she's meditating on Lord, because that is how the whole Pandharpur story is basically. Then Krishna comes in search of Rukmani. As Krishna comes in search of Rukmani, he meets Pundalik. That's the first stop basically. Even meeting Rukmani, he comes to see Pundalik. And Pundalik is we've seen, especially in Andhra, we have seen all these movies. Panduranga Mahacham is the story. The story is based on Pundalik story basically. Pundalik, so we'll go into Pundalik story and then try to come back, connect these two. Pundalik is again a devotee from 5th and 6th century, born to Janudev and Muktabai, basically, they're the parents. So he's not as bad as it's shown in the movies, basically, but movies show him really bad. But he's one of those not so much spiritual oriented. Parents are very spiritual oriented, basically. They think, okay, this guy is not such so spiritually oriented, so let us get him married, basically, so the things will set right. That's the normal thing, right? If somebody is not good, just get him married and things will be set right, basically. Then there will be somebody to set him right. So then he gets married and all that, but still his mentality of not respecting parents, and that is all there. Then their parents get vexed up with him and they'll decide to go to Kashi. They'll be on this way to Kashi. Then Pundarik will say, your wish, you go. I'm not going to bother that. Then there is another team of people going to Kashi. Then this time he feels, okay, my parents also went there. Why not? Let me also go. And he starts to go to Kashi. He and his wife on a horse. Parents went on foot and these people are going on horse. And he sees his parents on the way, basically. But he doesn't care. Why should I? They started on their path. Though they're elderly parents, ideally he should put them on the horse and he should be walking, basically. But he doesn't care. And then he goes and the parents, they rest. Generally, that's the path on the path of Kasi from Maharashtra. They stop at Kukiteshwar Swami Ashram, Kukiteshwar Ashram, basically. So this is where magic happens to him. This Kukiteshwar Ashram, they stay for a night, and then one of the nights, when they're all sleeping, he doesn't get, he doesn't fall completely asleep, and he sees 3 ladies walking into the ashram with all shabby clothes, basically, all the dirty clothes, like laundry clothes, basically. And they come and they serve the ashram, they clean the ashram, and they do the service to the god, service to the rishi, and then they pray to the god there. And on the way back, he will see them as 3 beautiful ladies with very nicely dressed, and then they'll be walking over. First day it happens, and second evening also the same thing happens. Then he gets an curiosity and he stops them and asks, who are you? When you're coming in such a dirty clothes, and on the way back you're going out nicely dressed and so beautiful and so radiant. What is this story? Then those 3 ladies will tell him, but you don't even care about your own parents. Why would you even understand what is this? So then he'll say, I want to understand. If there is something in this ashram, I want to also feel that. Then they'll say, we are the 3 rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, who get polluted every day by the people that are coming and leaving all their sins in us, basically. And we come here to get ourselves purified. So that's the power of that ashram, basically. Then he thinks this ashram is so powerful. Then that gives him that transformative change. What am I? Then they give him what are you doing? This is not what you are supposed to do. This, you have to take care of your parents, and this, you have to be respectful to them. You have to be, and all the things they said. Then that gives him the jnana or the vairagya, basically. And he thinks, what am I doing? And this is wrong. And then he puts the parents on the horse, and then he continues the journey, and he comes back. After coming back, then he worships the parents, basically. He'll be serving them. And this is on the banks of Pandharpur is on the banks of Chandrabhaga river, right? Chandrabhaga. It is actually the Bhima river. It's Bhima river. At Pandharpur, it takes a big karu. It looks like a Chandra. That's the Chandrabhaga of Bhima river. So that's why it's called Chandrabhaga, basically. The river is straight, except in Pandharpur it looks like a moon. So this is where he worships. He'll be serving the parents, and then Lord comes to see him. Now this is not, we are not talking about 5,000 years ago. We are talking about 500 years. 5th century, 1500 years ago. The Lord comes to wants to come. Pundarik, I'm here for you. I want to talk to you. The person is serious, busily serving his parents, and he'll say, I'm just now busy serving my parents. Give me a few minutes, I'll come. Then Lord says, what do you want me to do? You want me to wait? Then he throws a brick. And says, stand on this for now. So he'll go. The Lord stands on this like this, waiting for Pundarik basically. That's the position. You see posture. You see him standing like this, waiting for Pundarik, waiting for every devotee basically to come and see him. So now, why did Lord do all this? We'll discuss. That's where the name Vittal comes from. Vit is the name of Vishnu in Marathi, and Tal is brick. That's the combination of the God standing on the brick is Vittal. So he's named as Vittal, Pandharpur Vittal, right? Then after that, Lord comes to him, and Pundarik comes to him, and then Pundarik serves the Lord, and then there's a conversation, and then there's a benediction, and Pundarik says, you have to wait for every devotee and bless them basically, and then that's how the Pandharpur the deity has come, and then Rukmini joins later basically. So the first you'll have the center deity is Lord, and then the side is on the side you have Rukmini, Satyabhama, Radha Devi deities basically. So if you go back to our Bhagavatam, this reference to all this basically. So this whole Pundarik is nothing but he's in previous birth. He's Muchikundudu from Bhagavatam basically. This Muchikunda is one king, one king on the earthly planet. When Devatas are being beaten up by Rakshasas, Muchikunda serves Devatas, and then he helps Devatas and get rid of the Rakshasas basically, and then Devatas give him a benediction. Muchikunda says, I'm very tired now, let me sleep, nobody should disturb me. If anybody disturbs me, he should become ashes. That's the benediction, right? So he gets that benediction. So based on benediction, he goes and he sleeps, and then we have this story where Krishna and fighting with Jarasandha. In one of his fights with Jarasandha, Jarasandha sends one Rakshasa, Kalayavana Rakshasa. He comes chasing Krishna. Then what does Krishna does is, he goes into this cave where Muchikunda is sleeping, and then he leaves his Kandwar Uttrinam on Muchikunda, he covers it on him, and he goes away from there. This Kalayamudu comes in, he comes there and he thinks this is where Krishna is sleeping, and he beats him up. And he wakes up and he kills this Rakshasa basically. So that's how that boon was useful for killing somebody. And that's how God's plan or God's Leela is. At that time, then Muchikunda has a conversation with God, and God gives him a boon, and Muchikunda says, you should become the Lord of serving you should become the Lord so that the people in Kali Yuga can serve and get benediction and get the mukti from you. You should be the Lord for everybody. And that is how so Lord comes to Pundarik and says, I have given you the benediction, that's the reason why I have now come to see you basically. And then you have the brick part. Even the brick part is also, the story also comes from Bhagavatam basically. When Vritrasura is doing meditation, Indra wants to kill him, right? Vritrasura has the 3 heads basically. Indra sends somebody, one of his disciples, to kill him, like one of his dear. And Vritrasura gets angry on Indra, and Vritrasura gives this thing, sharp to Indra basically, that he becomes a brick. And that's the brick on which Vittal is actually standing basically. So when Vittal is when Rangadu is waiting there, when Krishna is waiting there, when Pundarik throws that brick, that's the brick that is actually in one of the Indra is staying in that brick, and then once Vittal stands on that, his this thing he becomes normal and he goes out basically. So I never knew about all this story, all this connectivity between Bhagavatam and Pandharpur basically. And that way we have a lot of reference to Pandharpur basically, and as what you call it, Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava from people from Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, we also have to understand that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spent time in Pandharpur. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as he is coming from the north, he went to what you call the Puri, and then Sri Kormam, and then Udupi and Pandharpur. So if you look at his life also, he never stayed at any place for long time. Pandharpur is the place where he stayed for 11 days. That's a long period basically. So that's our connectivity to Pandharpur basically. So at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu elder brother Vishwambara, right? Vishwambara, you know the story of Vishwambara, right? Vishwambara wants to Vishwarupa, is that correct? I don't know. Vishwarupa. Sorry? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vishwarupa, Vishwambara, right? Yeah. The elder brother, he was actually more into sannyasic this thing. He is born, is a very, from the childhood he shows devotional characters, and he wants to become a sannyasi. And again, his parents wants to get him married because he wants to become a sannyasi, and before the marriage he runs away from home. And he comes and he changes his name and he comes and settles in Pandharpur. Sure, basically. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on his travel, he comes and he travels to Pandharpur, and there he meets one person, Srirangapuri, a Brahmin called Srirangapuri. And this Brahmin is a disciple of Madhavapuri, Sri Madhavapuri basically, this student. And this Brahmin is actually a relative of Ishwarpuri. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to know that this Brahmin is hosting him, he gets so excited to see his guru, right? Ishwarpuri is who initiated Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ishwarpuri's friend or Ishwarpuri's relative is hosting him. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spends those days with him, and he tells him the reason why he's going around. He tells him that he's coming in search of his brother basically, and they tell him like, your brother actually came here, he changed his name as a sannyasi, he lived here, and he actually left the body in Pandharpur basically. So that's our connectivity to Pandharpur basically. So that way also it is a very important place for Vaishnava, Sri Vaishnavas especially. And then Pandharpur, as I said, has full of devotees. Stories full of devotees. Again, what are these stories and why are these stories so important? All these devotees are grihasthas. Most of Pandharpur devotees are grihasthas basically. So that is where it gets even more important for us basically. The kind of problems in each of these stories of these devotees have faced a similar lifestyle, right? Similar kind of problems that we could think of basically. This is Sant Sakhubai. Sati Sakhubai is the character that we talk about in Telugu world, Andhra and these places again. Again, when I was growing up, there are a lot of movies on Pandharpur, but I never understood why there are so many movies on Pandharpur, because there are so many devotees of Pandharpur compared to any other deity, any other pilgrimage or dhams basically. And we know the story of Sati Sakhubai, right? Most of the people know it. Does anybody who doesn't know the story? Okay, Sati Sakhubai. Okay. So again, Sakhubai is a girl born in a place near Pandharpuram. Again, a parents named Gangadhar Rao and Kamalabai. She is from childhood. She is devotee of Lord Vittala. From childhood, she is a devotee of Vittala. As a little kid, she goes and on the river bank she makes castles. So she makes sand castles. And one day, one old man, in his transcendental nature, in his way, he'll be singing Vittal songs and he'll just walk through on the castles and he'll break all the castles. It's basically Krishna comes in an old man form and he'll be walking through, and this girl, she gets agitated. I took so much time to build these castles. Why did you break them? And he says, no, sorry, I was totally in the thoughts of Vittal, and I did not see that you have built these castles. Then the girl will say, then instead of castles, if you have walked on me, I would have died. Basically, just on the sand, so you walked. So no, I don't agree to this. You have to pay me penalty, basically. And she makes a deal with him and takes the tambura. She takes the tambura and she says, no, teach me also, because you gave me tambura, I don't know how to play. No, you have to teach me also, basically. And then this elderly man sits and teaches her tambura. The moment she holds the tambura, there is so much of radiance coming from her because it's the tambura coming straight from Lord's hands, basically. A beautiful transformative thoughts go in her mind, and she starts singing Lord's songs, basically. At the end of the discussion, she gives back the tambura back, and but her love for Pandharpur increases, basically. So from that childhood onwards, if anybody is going to Pandharpur, if she hears that somebody is going to Pandharpur, she would say, "Can I come with you?" So the parents in the house, they're seeing this is getting out of control now. And what do you do when things go out of control? Marry them, right? So she'll get her married. She'll get her again married, basically. So Sati, son Sakhubai now got married to a nice family, a devotional family, but not saintly family now. Now this girl, she's wonderfully married to, and every day she's calling all the saints to home, and then she is feeding, basically. Now the mother-in-law gets agitated. What are you doing, basically? This is not a saint satram. If you are really so much, you should have gone into some sannyasa ashram and not to our house, basically. You're making our house sannyasa ashram now, basically. Then this girl says, "Oh, I don't know. I didn't know that these are all not to be done." So she secretly prays. She keeps her prayers into a small place. Very secretly she'll be keeping the prayers. So if you go to Pandharpur, you'll have a room there, which is almost like you have to walk into a basement, basically, and a small tunnel, and then they call it Samadhi, Sakhubai Samadhi. But it's not in the Samadhi in the sense, it's not where she left her body. She actually got into Samadhi state there every day. That's her prayer place, basically. They more call it like Samadhi, but I mean, pretty much she left her body every day, I guess, basically, right? That's the Samadhi state. So secretly she'll be worshipping there. One day she goes to the river, to get some water. And one of the days when she's going to river, then she'll see some people talking about going to Pandharpur. She'll say, "Can I also come?" She'll start going with them, basically, to Pandharpur. Forget about the water, mother-in-law, husband, and everything, and she'll start going with them. They'll camp at every night they camp. That's what happens. And unlike now, don't have overnight trains, buses, right? You have to walk and then nights camp, basically. So they were camping there. They were cooking and eating. And then in the village, they're searching for this girl. And somebody in the village who were at the riverside, they told her, she went off with that one particular unit on the way to Pandharpur. So the mother-in-law and husband come, searches for her, and then take her back. They realize this is where she is, and then they'll take her back. So this continues, then her grievance and her love for Lord increases. So the Lord gives all these tests only to increase our love for God. So yesterday, Gaurang Darshan Prabhu was speaking about, not in one of the class, but outside the class he was talking about something like this. Somebody was asking him, we want to achieve something, but we are not able to achieve. Why should God give that thought in the first place that you want to achieve? If you are not able to achieve, then why should God even give us that thought in the first place? And why does He make it feel like a tangible thing, and then finally you're not able to make it, and then you're only getting into disappointment? You understand the question, right? You want to buy something and it's not happening, but you're enjoying till that point. Probably you had money to buy, it's not in the stock, something like that, right? And the disappointment is always there, basically. Buying is something small, but even bigger things like marriage and other things, college, marriage, and job especially, all these things happen. Somebody was asking this question to Gaurang Darshan Prabhu. Why does that thing that we can attain something but not attain and then get disappointed? So at that point of time, people normally become what? More attached to it or more detached from God Himself. The disappointment can be too strong that you turn yourself away from God. This is what God is trying to test all the time. Right? In Gaurang Darshan Prabhu gave a few examples, very beautiful examples. These are the times you actually have to stand by the conviction and by the devotion of Lord, basically. Krishna only gave Hastinapura to Pandavas, and he never protected when they were losing it in the game, basically. Right? Why should Krishna in the first place even give that, basically? But that did not deter any of their devotion to Krishna. That is what makes a devotee versus a non-devotee, basically. The disappointment comes means you are attached to something else other than God, basically. In the whole Kurukshetra war, Abhimanyu died in front of Krishna. Then Uttara should get so much angry on Krishna, basically, right? When the Brahmastra of Aswadhama is coming, she first went to Krishna only to save her child who could not save her husband. So these things happen in life, but that is the testing time where we should only increase our faith in devotion, basically, right? So that way, Sati Sakhubai also, every time she's seeing a disappointment, it is only her faith on God is increasing even more. There is a reason why this is not happening. God must have had even bigger plan. That's what Leela Prabhu always says, right? If this is not happening, God must have had a bigger plan. But that is the time we should have that strength to hold on to and move on, basically, right? So another time, another team of people comes, and one of the sadhu asks her, "Do you really want to go to and see Pandharpur?" She'll say, "Yes, I want to go." "Don't worry, I will." The Lord himself comes in the form and he says, "Don't worry, you go. I will take care of your mother-in-law." And Sakhubai goes with the team, and now Lord becomes the Sakhubai for the mother-in-law. So he takes that form and he starts serving mother-in-law. So that's what we see in the movies and all, where mother-in-law trying to punish her and then punish the Lord, and Lord does things. That's what you can see. So they tie her off, so they tie the Lord off, basically, so for punishing the Sakhubai for not listening to them. But because it's Lord, the Lord listens to anything and anything. For him it's nothing difficult. Any task he can do very easily. Right? Now Sakhubai goes to Pandharpur and she sees Vittal and she hugs Vittal, and she, like that in that mood of hugging Vittal, she leaves her body. She leaves the body. Now Lord is stuck here. Daughter-in-law in the house, basically, right? The Krishna is stuck in the house now. She has to come and relieve him, basically. Until then, he is stuck now, basically. So now she leaves the body, and then people don't know. They ask the team. She came. They said, "Oh no, she came. We asked her. She showed interest. We brought her. Basically, we don't know much about her, basically." Then somebody from the village sees and recognizes her. "Oh, she is the daughter-in-law of so and so family. So we know her." But in those days, it's not like you can take the body back, right? So in Pandharpur only, they do the Antim Samskara, and they take the ashes and they go to mother-in-law's house, and they come and then say, "We're very sorry, we have very bad news for you. Your daughter-in-law passed away in Pandharpur." She's inside only. "What do you mean my daughter-in-law passed away in Pandharpur? She's just serving me." "What do you mean?" And they go inside, and this lady is not there anymore. The Sakhubai is not there anymore. Then they understand what happened. Basically. And then, actually, from the ashes again, Sakhubai comes out in human being, basically. So then the people who brought the ashes gets the fear of their life, basically, to see the ashes turning into this thing. And then the mother-in-law understands that she is actually being served by Lord for the few days. Sakhubai, then when she comes to know, she becomes even sad that that she couldn't see the Lord, but mother-in-law and husband have seen the Lord, basically. It is similar to what we see in Ramadas story and other stories, basically. And then again, Lord gives her darshan, and then the life continues, and then at the end of her life, she gets moksha, basically. So the bottom line here is, it is similar to, life is same, exactly, right? Like any other family life here, basically, right? Today you don't have mother-in-law problems, but still you have boss problems, right? Something else, getting leave for these dams and all those things, basically. The point here is, it is like, they serving as grihasthas and still being that kind of what do you call trust in God, and then the conviction on God. And these are not the stories of before, when previous yugas. These are all stories from this yuga only, right? So, Prabhu.
Is there any relation between Bhagavatam and Sakhubai?
No, Prabhu. There is no reference to some Bhagavatam and Sakhubai. See, Bhagavatam has stories of devotees pre-Kali Yuga. Right? Bhagavatam has stories of devotees previous to Kali Yuga. And this is post Bhagavatam era, right? Yeah, but in the previous birth reference or something.
Pundalika, you wrote reference which one?
Yes, here we I don't have. Emma?
Previous life.
In the previous life, is there any reference to?
She might have read Bhagavatam.
Yeah, probably that. Yeah.
She read Bhagavatam.
So, yes. And that connection we all should have. Reading Bhagavatam. And then become Sakhubai kind, right? Yes, Prabhu. So this is the story of Sant Sakhubai. And then
Purport gives
in the purports he give references.
that
Yes.
Pundalik is
Yes.
Pundalik is born
In the purports, yes. There are other Purana references also, Mataji, for that basically. It's a Pundalika reference basically. Yeah. Then Kantopatra. This is another devotee born in a near Pandharpur basically. She's born to a Dasi basically. You know Dasis are what? And a Dasi named Shyama, okay? And she's born to that Dasi. From young age, she sings and dances well, and she's very beautiful. But once she visits Pandharpur and she sees Lord, she dedicates herself to the Lord. She doesn't want to get into the same profession or same things that her mother is doing, and she wants to dedicate her life to Pandharpur, to Lord. So again, the point here is that the deities have such impact there, And we went to the Bedar Badshah, who hears about this lady, and he hears that this girl is come to a marriable age, and she's very beautiful and sings so nicely, and he wants to have that lady basically, have that girl. So this girl, so knowing that what her family wants her to do, or wants her to get into this Dasi business, she goes to temple and hugs the deities, and she never comes back basically. She pretty much leaves her body there, and today the place where her body left, there is still a tree called Kantopatra tree, which you will see on the way going into the temple. You will see this tree even today basically. I haven't seen the leaves basically in the queue. It was so crowded and all. They say the leaves are green all seasons. In all seasons you already have these leaves are green in color. It's almost 400-500-year-old tree basically. So this is another devotee story. Like that, you have numerous number of devotees stories in Pandharpur. Tukaram, Sant Tukaram. We all know the story of Tukaram, right? Bhaktha Tukaram. That's how we call it in Andhra. Again, Tukaram is from 16th century, which is like 500-year-old basically. And we all know in the stories basically, he went with materialistic body to Vaikuntha. The Garuda Vahan comes and takes him in materialistic body to Vaikuntha basically. The place where he was born is something closer to Pune, now the modern Pune. And he is the one who first wrote these Abhangas. That Abhangas we will hear only in Maharashtra area in Pandharpur basically. More than 5,000 Abhangas. These are sung even to date. These Abhangas is what all these people in their yatras sing. You see them with those caps and walking kilometers and kilometers and kilometers and coming to Pandharpur basically. So, you know the story of Tukaram. Tukaram again is born in a nice devotee family, and he's from the childhood. He's a devotee. He's a wonderful devotee, and at an early stage they get him married. But in that time, in one of the times when he was married and he was leading life, he doesn't care about anything basically. All that he wants is Panduranga will take care of everything. Panduranga will take care of everything. That's what we should be worried about basically, and he'll take care. Then in Maharashtra there was a big famine, and then there's a drought, and his wife gets sick, and she falls sick, and he doesn't have even money to get treated, and she dies. Then they marry him again, and then the second marriage, and that's the story we see most of the time. Jijabai. Jijabai. So that's the lady. So this is an interesting relationship between Tukaram and his wife, Jijabai. Tukaram loves Panduranga, Rangadu. This lady, she doesn't like Panduranga because her husband only cares about Panduranga, but she loves him like anything. Her God is him. He can have whomever want as the God, but for me, you are the God. I'll do whatever you want, but not pray your God. That is your duty. This is my duty, and that is your duty. She's always angry on Panduranga because he's not taking care of anything else, but only Panduranga. But her husband says she will listen. That is her nature basically. And a very poor family because he doesn't care about anything, but he pretty much lives on Bhikshatana, right? That is what Bhagavatam says, right? I mean, we should not do anything. What do you call it, for extra this thing, right? Naturally, whatever comes, we should live with that. Naturally, based on your karma, you get anything. No extra endeavor, basically. So this gentleman is properly following the rules. Again, another famine time comes, and when drought and famine comes, the people that first suffers are people that are beggars. Basically, beggars are the ones that don't suffer first. There's nobody to give them anything, basically. So this lady, because she's a nice housewife, she takes care of things properly. He does not even know how poor they are living, basically. So she has only one sari to live with, basically. She is leading her life with only one sari, basically. She goes to the bath and she washes her sari, and she wears that sari and comes back, and as you cook with the heat, the sari will dry up and she lives for the rest of the day, basically. That's how she's doing. And again, bathrooms means they're not like luxurious with shower and all that, right? And when you have something made up of bamboo sticks and other things, and they put the sari on that, and they go for that. What happens is, one day there will be wedding in the neighborhood. The neighbors come and ask her, why don't you join us? She says, I'll ask my husband and join. And the time is happening, so she goes to take shower. And she puts the sari on that. At that time, somebody comes and asks Tukaram for a cloth, and he takes that sari and he donates it. Gone. Whatever sari is there also is gone, basically. Now she finished her bath and she looks for the sari. Sari is not there. She understands what happens. This man must have given the sari also to somebody, basically. And then the neighbors come and they'll knock the door. Let's go to the wedding, basically. She's not able to come out, basically. She can't say that this is the problem, basically. How long do you take? How long it's getting late? Let's get to the wedding. Then she'll simply sit there and she'll pray. And then she'll suddenly see a beautiful sari appear there, just like how Draupadi gets her clothes. She'll see a beautiful sari appearing there. And she takes that sari and she wears it. This is God-given sari. This is given by God, like Lakshmipati. So it's one of the richest saris, basically. Then all these ladies in the neighborhood say, you always talk about poverty, but you have a beautiful sari. Now, where did this sari come from? Now, when you wear such beautiful sari to your wedding, you also have to carry a beautiful gift, I guess, with that, right? That matches the sari. Now, that comes into her mind. Now, what do I go to a wedding with, basically? And she'll say, they're all waiting. I'm not coming. I'll have to talk to my husband and come. Now, with envy, these ladies leave, basically, with envy or whatever reason. So this story is going to take more time. Let us go for the wedding, and they leave. Then Tukaram comes inside and he says, where did this sari come from? He understands now what happened. This is what Rangadu gave. I have never seen you in such rich sari, and we are not supposed to. Why are you getting this? Take the sari off. But I don't have another sari. I don't have another cloth to take care of myself, basically. Then he goes out to beg for a sari. He goes to a neighborhood and he'll ask for a sari. Can you give something that is, in India, when a sari becomes old, you use it for other things, right? Cleaning, wiping, and all that stuff. A sari that is ready to be torn in sari, he'll go and beg for, he'll get one sari and he'll bring it and he'll give her, and then she changes into sari and she'll again fold it and give it back. So Tukaram takes that sari, nicely goes to the Vittal temple. Thank you, Swami. Take it back, he puts it in the hundi and he comes out. So this is how their life goes on, this Tukaram and his wife's story. And there are a lot of stories in which Tukaram life goes, basically. Tukaram has a neighbor who is, I think, Sambhuji or somebody, who is like the head priest there, basically in that area. When he tells Bhagavatam story, he expects a lot of people to come, but nobody comes. And when Tukaram says story, a lot of people come, basically. So he gets, jealous out, envy out of it, and he starts doing wrong publicity against Tukaram, that he's not a great devotee. And he takes all these abhangas of Tukaram and he says, Tukaram copied this stuff, it's not his. Then when all the village comes and asks to Tukaram, who wrote it? I did not write, Rangadu wrote it. Tukaram is always ready to say, I did not write. They're also saying you did not write. So where is the problem, basically? And so then they'll say, this fellow will say, Tukaram did not write. He's only accepting that. This is not his work, basically. So we should get rid of this work. So he'll take all that and throw it in the river. So he'll make Tukaram himself to throw it in the river. Then Tukaram sits next to the river and meditating for those abhangas. After 12-13 days, on the 13th day, the personified river comes back and gives all the Vedas back to him, basically. Nobody else sees that, but only he can see that. He can see those Vedas, abhangas, and the river blesses him that for generations to come, these are what is going to be, make this place a devotional land, basically. And to date, the people sing those abhangas, basically. So like this, the story continues. And Tukaram is married, right? Remarried. Second marriage. His wife's family is from a business background. So Tukaram, he goes off and sits and writes in a lonely place. He'll be sitting and writing his abhangas. His wife will come and say, you have to take care of the family. Panduranga will take care. What am I supposed to do? Who is husband, who is wife, who is child, everything is his children, he will take care. So, but she is so dedicated to him, basically, then she will tell, all that you are saying is right, but what example are you setting to the society? If anybody wants to follow you, they all have to take sannyas. If you as a husband agree, all this is spiritual, but both your children are spirit souls in material bodies, and the material bodies feel hungry and you have to feed them, basically. So for that, you are the father. You are the father of those material bodies and you have to feed those bodies, basically. You have to do something for it. And if you set this kind of example to the society, nobody will take care of families. Then he sees some point in it, some value in it. He wants to, role model to the devotees. So he goes with her and then she will say, let's start a business. So she sells off even her Mangal Sutra and she gets some money from all the neighborhood and she buys some stuff and she puts that all in a bullock cart. She'll ask him to take to the Santa, the weekly whatever market, right? Raitu Bazaar market. So he puts all the elements there and he starts singing, what belongs to me, what belongs to you. This is all God's gift. This is all he can take. He can take what you want. But people are also still truthful in those days. And then this is all happening under the guidance of the Lord. So everybody takes what they want and they leave some money. So they're also like, there's still karmic thought process is there. He will take all the money and he will think, my wife, I should make my wife happy today. So at least if I take this money, she might be happy. But I heard women are happy when you take some jewelry or clothes or something. You'll take all the money and go to a jewelry shop and buy a nice gold chain for her. He'll take the chain home and she'll ask, what happened? The bullock cart is empty. So she thought, okay, something happened. Now my husband is back on main track. Now he's going to do business. He said, no, you gave me, I went there, then they gave me money. So I thought, if you buy a gold chain, you'll be happy. This wife says, for the first time, you're actually thinking of my happiness. Never you thought of anything else other than Panduranga. And she said, I bought, to make you happy, I brought a gold chain. And he takes the gold chain and he puts it, and this lady says, that's made of copper. The gold fellow, the gold cheated him. This is copper, this is not gold. Copper, gold, they're all same. They're all same in Rangada. For Panduranga, iron, gold, copper, silver, all are same. What is the problem? So things to remember, right? Next time you have to buy something, hardware shop, jewelry shop are same basically. No, the gold chain or cycle chain you should be happy with. So then she said, now how do I even go back and now repay these debts? That is your problem. Rangada will take care. So like that, this lady, she makes, life ends meet basically with one way or other. But the only thing is, she's always devoted to her husband. Whatever her husband wants, she's ready to do, and he leaves everything on Rangadu, on Panduranga. And we also have a story of where they send a prostitute to convert him, like sorry. So similarly, they'll send a prostitute, and so the neighbor wants the village to. Sorry, Haridas Thakur, similar story. So here, in Telugu song, there's a beautiful song actually. So then, at the end of the evening, she becomes a devotee. The wordings of that song, I don't know if you ever heard it, are very strong, very strong. All that this is just a leather body basically. That's what you're worried about and all that. Anyway, so then by the end of the event, she realizes why one should be beyond this materialistic body, and she become a devotee. And like this, this thing goes up to Shivaji Maharaj. So Shivaji Maharaj comes to see him, actually. Shivaji Maharaj comes to see him. And the Muslim neighbors comes to understand that Shivaji Maharaj is in this village, and this is the time to attack Shivaji Maharaj because he's in the small village. Then Rangadu says to him, this is not the time you should go out and fight with them. Sit with me in the prayer. And as they are doing the prayer, for the soldiers, for enemy soldiers, will see each one of them will fight individually with Shivaji. So Rangadu becomes so many Shivajis, and he goes and fights with them. And this is true story that happened basically. Each one of them sees Shivaji fighting with them, and Shivaji is actually sitting in the temple along with Bhaktha Tukaram. But then that's when Shivaji also, he's known for Hindutva, this thing. He says, now onwards, I want to leave this kingdom and become your disciple. Chhatrapati Shivaji says that basically, I want to become your disciple now basically. I have realized what your power is, the power of prayer and power of God. And he said, your role is to spread the Hindu movement today. This is the only place, you are the only one who is spreading the Hindu movement, and you should go back. And that's how Shivaji goes back, and the relationship between Shivaji and Tukaram goes. And then Tukaram, at the one day he gets in his dream that Lord is calling him. And the next day morning he goes, and Lord actually sends Garuda Vahana, and with his material body he will enter that Vahana and leave for Vaikuntha. Around 1650, in 1650 time frame basically. Again, this is probably same period as when Ramadas story was happening here. So point here is, living in as a grahastha, one could attain moksha in materialistic body, and that's what the Pandharpur stories are about. And that is not an easy task, right? That's not an easy task. The amount of devotional faith one should have, basically. That's all these stories should help us get to. And as you enter that Pandharpur DT and touch the feet, you get the chills of it basically when you are thinking of these stories and walking there basically. All through the pathway, we were there for 6 hours. As I said, I was standing next to Yugal Kishore Prabhu. He's the first one in the line, and he just told me, like, stand in front of me and protect me. I want to make sure Matajis are not falling on me or anything basically. So I was just standing protecting him. And Satya Prabhu was singing for continuous 4 hours. He sang Kirtan, Vittal Kirtan, continuous 4-5 hours he sang basically. The whole crowd, the environment was shaken up because of Satya Prabhu and Yugal Kishore Prabhu. So I didn't even know what to ask for, when you touch the deities. This is the first time touching the deities. What do you even ask for basically? I was only praying for one thing, that we get Maharaj mercy and get through this initiation task basically. That's all I was praying for. That's all I was praying for, nothing else. Just let's get through this. Let's get through this phase. Let's see how it happens basically. The thought of being able to touch any deity was never there in my history, or in my thought process of devotional service basically. And it was for a few seconds, only few seconds, but because Yugal Kishore Prabhu is there, maybe a few more seconds got extended. Somebody in saffron clad, and then they let you stay for a few more seconds. They said you can bend down, because the people behind looking at the God, if you want to go touch the feet, but stay there, bend your head basically, because people can see the God. There's a Mukhadarshan and Sparshadarshan. Mukhadarshan is 20-30 minute line. Sparshadarshan is during this time, it is like that. But normal times, you can always book Sparshadarshan also online, and it takes 20-30 minutes basically if you book your slot online. So that is the story of all right. Another 20 minutes, I think, we'll have a few more stories of other devotees. Then Janabai, this is another devotee of Pandharpur. At the age of 7, she sees Vittal. She goes from some other neighboring village. They come and she sees Vittal, and she comes with her parents, and she decides, I'm not going home back. That's all. I want to stay back in Pandharpur. The parents pleads her, then she doesn't. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and finally parents leave her in Pandharpur and go. Basically, that is Janabai. Then there is a Sant Namdev. We're not going to go into those stories of Namdev and stuff like that. So he sees her. She's a child alone in the temple, and he takes her, and she lives in Namdev's house as their maid servant basically, because Namdev is also a big devotee of Panduranga. So she finds comfort staying close to the temple with the devotee and all that stuff basically. So Namdev is at a state where communicates with Vittal. Vittal talks to him. Vittal comes to his house basically. Vittal one day comes to their house and asks for, I'm feeling hungry, let's have dinner together. And Janabai cooks the dinner, and they serve the guests first, and Namdev, everybody are eating, but she's standing outside because she's not part of the family, and Vittal doesn't like that. They all sit for food, and he says, I'm not hungry anymore, and he walks off. Now Lord Vittala walks off, and then they ask him to sleep, and he sleeps, and then he wakes up Janabai and says, I'm now hungry, let's go and eat. And then he wants her sit he wants her to sit next to him and eat basically. And at that time he eats with Janabai, and then they'll be chatting, talking, and then it's getting late. Mangalharati time is going to come and he has to go back to the temple basically. So in the rush, at least it appears in the rush, or wantedly, he leaves his kandua here and his jewelry here, and he takes Janabai cloth, one of the old cloths of Janabai, and goes off to the temple. So next day morning when they open the temple, his kandua is all dirty, old Janabai cloth is sitting on him, and his beautiful Petambar is not there, or his jewelry are missing. They don't know what is happening. And somebody in the priest recognizes, this looks like Janabai comes here every day, this looks here like Janabai's the cloth basically. And they go to her house and they see Lord's clothes and Lord's jewelry basically. And her clothes are here, so which means Janabai came in the middle of the night and stole the stuff basically, right? So they punish her. They try to punish her basically. Then again, in the night basically, when Janabai has a lot of work of as a maid servant she has to do, and Lord comes and does all that grinding work. And today you can go there and you can see this Janabai grinding machine, all those things basically. Then Janabai proves her devotion. Then God comes and he proves her devotion, and then she sings songs, and God actually keeps writing those songs. Janabai songs, God keeps writing abhangas. Then this, I don't know who asks Mataji, I forgot the name. He comes and asks, what are you doing, Vittala? I'm writing Janabai song. Everybody here writing abhangas on you. Why are you writing Janabai, whatever Janabai sang? God says, these are the most abhangas with love, and anybody singing these abhangas will attain my love basically. And today, till date also, those Janabai abhangas are there and people sing. These are the probably folk. Today, this all termed as folk songs and stuff like that. But basically, so these are the true devotional songs, or the feelings that have come from devotees. Like that, you will see Janabai place where she lived, where her kitchen, where she was cooking, and all those things in Puri, Pandharpur even today. Then Sant Chokhamela. Sant Chokhamela is another saint basically. So Chokhamela is again from 14th century. He's born in one of the lower caste communities. So he is given the in charge of washing the temple steps and stuff like that. He's not allowed to enter into the temple, but he's a great devotee. He's a great devotee. And there was some clash between he's becoming more popular with his songs and stuff like that. The head priest says, we are boycotting you. You should go and live on the other side of the river. With his devotional service, God comes to his house. Vittal comes to his house for dinner. He joins him for dinner, and as a family member, like God comes to his house and eats food with him basically. So one day, God and Vittal and both of them are having prasad in the evening dinner. His wife is serving food, and the head priest is actually going outside the house. So the wife in what do you call it? In the rush, she's serving food, and some of it falls on his and Vittal's clothes. So wife shouts he shouts at his wife, "Are you blind? What are you doing? You're spoiling Vittal's clothes." The head priest walking outside hears this, and he thinks this person is scolding him because he can't see Vittal. He goes inside, he can't see Vittal because he doesn't have that vision to see Vittal. Basically, the purity is not there. Even Chokhamela says that he's not meaning to him, but he doesn't listen to it. Basically, you are talking to me, and you are purposefully scolding me, and he gives me a big slap. Gives me a slap, and then he comes off to this side of the river. He comes to the temple, and when he opens the altar, he sees Lord's cheek all swollen. He sees Lord's cheek all swollen. So when he sees all cheeks swollen, he understands what happened. And he's a priest. He also knows what it is. He understands the mistake he has done, and he goes to Chokhamela and asks for forgiveness, and Chokhamela says, "Who am I to forgive? It's Lord. Lord is the one who's to forgive." And then he's forgiven. The priest is forgiven, and then they respect him, Chokhamela. But again, he's from the poor family, right? He's from the lower caste. He's one of the laborer that help build walls, like buildings. So one of the days when they are building a wall, the wall collapses on him. Along with Chokhamela, about 100 plus 200 people die. Right? And when so many people die, they do mass funeral, right? So normally when you what do you call it, burn bodies, bones doesn't dry. The bones doesn't become ashes immediately. God comes to know this. I mean, the priest, he calls the priest, basically, there's a conversation between the priest and Vittala himself. Vittala says, bring Chokhamela's body and bury it in the temple campus. Today you have Chokhamela Samadhi there. Then they go there, there are like 200 plus people that are already burnt, basically. They're all ashes. I mean, ashes are gone, only bones are left, basically. Right? And then they don't know what to do. They become bits and pieces of ashes, basically. They come back and ask, Lord, what do we do now? We don't know how to even identify them. Then the Lord says, Chokhamela body is not materialistic, it is spiritual. Its body has also become spiritual. His bone, when you put it on your ear, you would hear Ranga Ranga Pandharanga Vittal Harina Namasmarana. God says that you take piece by piece of all these 200 plus people by bones, and they keep hearing for this name, and all the bones that where they can hear this name, they bring in, they build the Samadhi inside Pandharanga temple, basically. Today you can see the Chokhamela Samadhi inside the temple campus, basically. That's again, this is also again not very old story. These are all stories that happened in 100 years ago, stories, basically. A lot of people from Maharashtra also don't know these stories, basically. That's another sad part. Even if you are, a lot of colleagues, we have an office in Pune. When I tell them that they don't know anything, they know something about Tukaram, but not about any of these Pandharanga stories, basically. So this is the kind of devotion that Chokhamela has showed, basically. So Namadev, he has, as I told you before, he has the communication with God. Namadev asks God, how do I identify? And you see, each of these will tell the Lord's name, basically. See, what does that mean, really? That Namasmarana has to get digested into the materialistic body, not at the stage of mind level, heart level. At every element of the body, that Namasmarana has to penetrate inside, basically. Even after death, the remainings, the elements of the body has to resonate the Namasmarana, basically. Right? That is the Chokhamela story. Then this is Sant Gora Kumbhar. Sant Gora Kumbhar. This is the Telugu movie Chakradhari. I don't know how many of you have seen the Chakradhari movie. Have you seen that? Anybody? So this is he's a potter by profession, but he's a devotee of Vittal, similar to Tukaram, basically. Everything Vittal takes care of. Again, this is another. When Gora Kumbhar he's a potter, right? He makes small toys, diyas, and that kind of stuff. And they say when you take that and put it in your ear, you can hear the Namasmarana. Because he's continuously doing Namasmarana and he's doing this pottery. So, how pottery is made. The whole clay is there, you soften it, you pour water, you soften it. And this man, he keeps singing songs of Vittal and he's softening the clothes, softening the sand, the whole mud. And he has a little baby, he's 1.5-year-old baby. So mother goes outside somewhere and she leaves the baby next to the father. And this man is so busy in singing the songs, and there's some thunderstorms happen, and because of the thunder, the baby gets frightened. He shouts for his father, but father doesn't listen. He keeps crawling and come to the father, and he enters into the mud that his father is softening, and father does not, this Gora Kumbhar does not realize, indeed, he stamps through the baby's body basically. So blood comes out, baby is shouting, but his mind is not here. He's in his own transcendental this thing. His wife comes and searches for the baby, and she looks around, and then she sees the mud with full of blood, and then she realizes, and she gets angry. In the anger, she curses Vittal. She curses Vittal. Because of Vittal, my son is dead. He wants, because she's cursing Vittal, he takes an axe and wants to hurt her. In the anger, basically. Because of the anger is not because the baby is dead, but because Vittal is being, she's cursing Vittal basically. And then she puts an oath. If you touch me, I swear on Vittal. To protect herself basically. And he steps back and he never touches her anymore. So what happens if you don't touch her? Like, she with the time, she lost the child, but with the time, she comes over that she wants to have another baby, but this man has taken oath that he will never touch her. So the child is out of equation basically. She pleads, but he doesn't listen. Then she thinks we still need a baby. There's no solution to this, and she goes home to her father-in-law in her parents' place, and she convinces her father that her sister also should be married to him, so that she assumes he'll be fine with her, and then they'll have a child, and things will move on. Because now she's not able to see him suffer, because she's not allowed to do any household work. Any household work she does, he's not going to touch basically, because he's taken an oath. Her father, not knowing the whole story, what happened, he does the marriage and everything. Then, one man has two wives basically, right? And both of them are his daughters. He'll call, dear son-in-law, I give both my daughters to you. Please make sure you treat them equally. This man understands I'm not even supposed to touch her also. He doesn't touch her basically. As a father, what he said is true. Basically, two sisters now, basically you have to treat them equally. Then he understands it. I'm not touching her. If I touch her now, I'm not treating them equally. There's this differentiation. So I have to do no differentiation means I have not touched her also. Then both the ladies, then they'll cry and they'll go and tell her father what happened. And he'll come and try to convince. He knows the son-in-law is a good man basically. He tries to convince son-in-law, but son-in-law says that the swearing is on Vittal, I cannot touch it. So one afternoon when he's sleeping, both these girls, what they will do is, they will hold both of he'll sleep like this. They will sleep on his hands. Let us see what he'll do basically, both in this. He wakes up and he sees both these girls are touching him. He said, you swore on Vittal and you have touched me. So he would just cut both his hands off. Just tie a knife to a tree and he'll just cut off both the hands. Just like that. Both the hands. So now the livelihood is also gone. Without hands, how do you even do pots, basically? Right? So then Vittal himself comes as a little boy to help them. He comes them and he says, I'm a poor man. I don't know. I only know how to make pots. All I need is to feed me. If you feed me, in your guidance, I'll make pots and I'll make, learn the skills even better because you cannot do. So like that, Vittal comes and he sits in the family in the name of Rangan and he helps making them pots basically. One day they go to temple and then the pots that these people are selling, they're coming into the market. Namdev sees this pot. The pot is speaking Mahamantra basically. The pot is speaking Mahamantra. When he puts the pot next to his ear, he's hearing Vittal Nama. So these are not normal pots. He goes home and find out who is making these pots and he goes to his house. And this man with no hands, he tells them, Vittal, there's a Rangan, a boy in our house is making these pots. Namadeva says, I want to see the boy. They go inside and the boy is not there anymore. then Gora Kumbhar understands what happened. It is Vittal who has been serving me now, and he feels even more what do you call it, sad that I made Vittal do all this work, all these things. He goes to the temple and he starts crying. This is the only thing I can do now. I have to now live like a beggar in front of the temple to to come out of this grief basically. And at that point of time, Vittal appears and he gives back his both the hands basically. Then there's a story. His wife prays to Vittal and asks Krishna basically, you were able to bring your master's son to life, your teacher's son to life. You can also bring my son to life and all that. And then finally she gets her son back, and Vittal blesses them and tells him basically, you should live like a normal life now. Forgive those two of your wives, and you should lead a life and be this thing. So that's the Sant Gora Kumbhar. The Gora Kumbhar is Kumbhari basically making the pots. So these are some of the stories that Yugal Kishore Prabhu told us. And I tried to repeat, but when he was telling, it's a different really. It made me looking at these are all the conversations between God and a disciple basically, right? All the stories are nothing but conversation between God and a disciple. When he was telling the stories to us, I felt like, probably this is how Dhritarashtra felt when Sanjaya was telling the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. So me like a Dhritarashtra, I was listening to the stories basically, and I tried to repeat what I heard basically. So the last devotee for me for Pandharpur is Yugal Kishore Prabhu. There's nobody else can be more beautiful than Yugal Kishore Prabhu to tell us these stories. The reason why I tell this is, his spiritual life started in Pandharpur. So before coming to ISKCON, he visited, this is his second visit to Pandharpur. 30 years ago he visited, that is before he coming to ISKCON. And he decided to become a saint in Pandharpur. Then accidentally ISKCON came to his life, and then he became ISKCON devotee basically. So for me, he is also one of those devotees, but instead of serving Vittal in Pandharpur, Vittal has sent him to serve all of us, I guess, basically, in the name of, in the form of Yugal Kishore Prabhu. So with that, I am concluding that the devotional devotees of Pandharpur. Hare Krishna. Any questions or any comments? Anything we can discuss? So there are still a lot of stories, Prabhu. I haven't put in all the stories. So this is the book written by Loknath Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Loknath Swami Maharaj. I went to shop and asked for English book. They said only Telugu book is available. So this is what I wanted. Basically, sorry, you're saying something, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. When I look at all these stories, I get this doubt. I see a lot of sorrow and pain that all these devotees have to go through. Is it because of their karma, or is it because the moment you decide that you have to go through the path of devotion, you will be tested irrespective of your karma? Is it because of the karma, or because Krishna really wants to test and he pushes all these problems into your life?
Prabhu, honestly, I don't know the exact answer, but what we read, in from Bhagavatam or Mahabharata, Dharmaraj went through the whole process of the game of this thing, and he knows it is all falsely. They have been cheated, but he never blamed anybody for that. He always said, "This is my karma. It happened for a reason of karma." Right? This morning we were having the same class, the karma versus so karma returns, or what you are doing. See, you do something is imposed on you due to karma. Something you do, and that is also called karma, right? Basically. So devotees, whatever happens in their life, they take it as karma, and for them karma is God's blessing only. If it is a tough thing, it's something that they have to go through a tougher situation. God is helping them to get through the situation and removing their bad karma. But they don't reiterate. I mean, they never Dharmaraj said we have been cheated in the game of dice. Because me saying so is insulting Bhishma, is insulting Dronacharya, is insulting Dhritarashtra, is insulting Aswadhama. That's what I'm more happier to take this as karma and take what you call Lord's blessings and move on, basically. So, and for me, devotees don't see it as something that is happening tougher or something that is happening negative on them, because something good happening also they don't see it as something that they should be happier or sadder. For them, both the feelings are same. Probably for the, again going back to the same example, Dharmaraj enjoying Rajasuya Yaga, Dharmaraj going through the punishment, for him it's pretty much more or less the same thing, basically, because the connectivity with the Lord is more important. The rest is whether you are eating gulab jam or some Kerala, it's the same thing, basically, right? It's not, it's God is trying to test me, is not the feeling of in any of the devotees, basically. It's for us to understand that it is more a test like thing, right? Anybody wants to add anything? I don't know if that answer is in the right direction, Prabhu. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
You want to add anything, Mataji? Right, I didn't even see you, Mataji, so I would have made you only speak more of the stories. I didn't realize you are here. యా, నాకు గుర్తులేదమ్మా. జానాబాయి స్టోరీలోనే వస్తుందమ్మా పిడకలు చేసేది.
హరే కృష్ణ. నామదేవ్ దగ్గరే ఉంటుంది కదా ప్రభుజీ, నామదేవ్ గారి ఇంట్లోనే ఉంటుంది కదా ప్రభుజీ. నామదేవ్ గారి ఇంట్లో ఉంటారు ఆవిడ, జనబాయ్ ప్రభుజీ, జనబాయ్
పిడకలు వేస్తూ.
అయితే ఆవిడ రోజు ఏంటంటే సర్వీస్ చేస్తూ ఉంటుంది అనమాట. పిడకలు చేస్తుంది ఒక రోజు. ఆ పిడకలు చేసి గోడ మీద చక్కగా విలేజెస్లో మనం చూస్తూ ఉంటాం కదా, బౌండరీస్ ఉంటాయి, అటు వాళ్ళు వేసుకుంటారు, ఇటు వీళ్ళు వేసుకుంటారు. అయితే ఈమె ఏం చేస్తుందంటే 2 రోజులు అయిన తర్వాత తీసేసుకుంటారు, అంత ఎండిన తర్వాత. ఆ పిడకలు తీసుకోవడానికి వెళ్ళేటప్పటికి అవతల పక్క నైబర్ ఆ పిడకలన్నీ తీసేసుకుంటుంది. ఇంకా స్టార్ట్ చేస్తామన్నమాట ఫైటింగ్. ఈ నా పిడకలు నువ్వెలా తీసుకున్నావు, అసలు ఎలా జరిగిందా. అదే టైంకి వాళ్ళ ఇంటికి సాధువులు వస్తూ ఉంటారు, నామదేవి ఇంటికి. ఆ సాధువులందరూ ఆగి, ఏంటమ్మా పిడకల కోసం ఇంత హంగామా నీకు అవసరమమ్మా, ఎందుకు ఇంత గొడవ చేస్తా. అరే నేను నా పిడకలవి నేను ఎలా ఇస్తాను, నాకు కావాలంటుంది. మరి ఇప్పుడు ఎలా ఐడెంటిఫై చేస్తూ ఉంటే, మీరు చూడండి ఆ పిడకల దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళి చెవి దగ్గర పెట్టుకోండి, ఆ పిడకల్లోంచి హరినామ సంకీర్తన వినిపిస్తుంది, అది నా పిడకలే అని చెప్తుంది అనమాట. నిజంగానే వెళ్ళి వాళ్ళు సాధువులందరూ ఆశ్చర్యపోతారు, ఇంత భక్తురాలా ఈవిడ, ఇంత ఫైటింగ్ చేస్తుంది, ఇంత భక్తురాలా అని. చెవి దగ్గర పెట్టుకుంటే అందులోంచి హరే కృష్ణ 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 హరే హరే, హరే రామ 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 హరే హరే అనే మహామంత్రం వినిపిస్తూ ఉంటుంది అనమాట. దిస్ ఐ లైక్ ఇట్ సో మచ్ ప్రభుజీ. నిజంగా యుగల్ కిషోర్ ప్రభుజీ తోటి యాత్రకు వెళ్ళడం అనేది నిజంగా చాలా సుకృతం అనిపించింది. చాలా అద్భుతంగా చెప్పారు ప్రభుజీ. రియల్లీ వీ ఎంజాయ్డ్ ఎ లాట్. హరే కృష్ణ.
Any other questions, Prabhu? Sorry? Mataji, you want to add something? All right. We'll close it here, Mataji, with Narasimha Arati. Who wants to sing Narasimha Arati? Who's singing? Nirupama. Please.
Hare Krishna. Namaste Narasimhaya, Namaste Narasimhaya, Prahladadayine, Prahladadayine, Hiranyakashipurvakshaha,
Hiranyakashipurvakshaः Silatankanakalaye
Ito Narasimho Parato Narasimho
Narasimho Parato Narasimho
Yato yami tato Narasimha
Yato yami tato Narasimha
Bahir Narasimho Hridaye Narasimho Bahir Narasimho Hridaye Narasimha Narasimha Vadim शरणं प्रपद्ये नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये तव करकमलवरे नाखो अद्भुत शृङ्गां दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव करकमलवरे नाथा अद्भुत शृङ्गां दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
हरे
जय नरसिंहदेव 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 जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव 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 जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल। नरसिंहदेव भगवान की, भक्त शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।